See, I'm doing take one right now. November 7th, Monday. See, coming up this week one, if you were unaware, Friday we have e-learning. So you'll have like an assignment for each class that we have to do from there. I'm assuming those of you with iPads out are because you're wanting to stand and work on the quiz that you didn't have turned in, so you can take a late grade, which is confusing because it says it right there if you're on. From there, Shadow Club homework is due tomorrow. So if you've not done it yet, then yay, you now have the homework. And then if you've not checked your grade and B points, we're going to be talking a whole bunch about them, and then you'll get mad. And when you ask me in a moment, can I check my grade and B points? The answer is going to be no, or I get to charge you points. Just like if your iPad's in your lap, I charge you points and stuff like that. Mia?
Wait, what shadow homework?
The one I signed last week. I'll show it to you in just a second to help you out.
Oh, I thought that was due on Friday.
Nope, it was due technically tomorrow. I will update to the last picture tomorrow. I'm rotating through the different pictures that were up there to try and help you out.
I see Kenny.
So this is the homework that is due tomorrow. If you have not actually gone through and done it yet, if it's not turned in by tomorrow morning, then yeah, it's going to cost you the 3 B points for turning it in late. For those of you when you do it, the main issues has been either really short answers, which will get you like a 6 or 7 out of 10, or not doing complete sentences, which will get you the 6 or 7 out of 10. So again, and then if it's late, then the highest grade you can get is a 7 out of 10. So just trying to remind you, don't lose points, don't make me have to be grumped up at you. Hi, James.
So it says if you get a 26 out of 28 or higher, you don't have to do your homework.
Correct. You
I did both. I got a 28 and I still did my homework.
Oh
wait, what does that do?
It just makes you some extra special and smarter than other kids.
Extra special.
You get an A+.
Yeah.
Plus.
For effort.
A++.
So your grade changed a lot from last week to this week. You had the fiction common assessment quiz thing, which had irony on it. We had the Shadow Club quiz, which was worth like 28 points. And then we also had the homework that was due last week. So it was like 3 different things that you guys had to do. On the quiz thing from last week, overall you guys did fairly well on it. There were 2 multiple choice questions we struggled on, and then the irony one, you guys mostly did well, but I think a lot of kids got 2 out of 3 as opposed to the full 3, which I'll explain to you. This was the first one that kids seemed to struggle on a little bit. So it says the best identifies the conflict the main character faces. Throughout the whole thing right here, I tried some warm-ups, what I even signed up for. Perhaps I should just slip into the crowd, not run at all. As he is trying to make a decision. So which one is going to be the making of a decision?
Internal.
Nicely done. So that's why it would be the internal conflict. Like right now, my internal conflict is, do I take the kid's phone until the end of the day because they keep thinking they're getting away with it when they're not? Or do I hope that this warning is enough to help them learn to not keep getting on the phone?
Guys, stop looking at that.
That's not that. Trust me. The kid who's on their phone knows that they're on their phone.
It's not me.
So it solves the problem.
I know he took my phone away.
Then the other one that we struggled with was figuring out the point of view. When it says, Tomas had survived a monsoon season in Myanmar, he'd experienced the July rains, he swore to himself, he'd never before seen anything. If it keeps using he, what point of view is it?
Third.
So that should have been third person.
It said third.
Second person does exist. That's you, as in you should not make poor choices, you will lose B points. First person is I, none of the above is none of the above. And then for the irony, most of you guys did pretty well on this. I was happy with it. As far as getting the full 3 points, it came down to either explaining the picture or explaining irony. And a lot of you explained the picture, which was not irony. So, what was ironic in the picture?
They're being lazy.
That's the word I had to have. Because a lot of you guys just said an escalator going to a gym. That's 2 out of the 3.
That's exactly what
because
I said.
that does not explain irony.
Sure.
You're literally just explaining what you see in the picture.
Technically, escalators don't go to gyms.
So you got 1 point as long as you gave me something that made sense. If you talked about the fact they were exercising or going to a gym or that there's an escalator, I gave you 2 of the points. To get all 3, you had to talk about the fact that they were being lazy and going to a gym. So if you look at yours and you did not get 3 out of 3 on that one, Here's how you can figure out why you did not get 3 out of 3.
Oh,
Hi.
Well, it looks like they're not being lazy because they're actually walking up.
No.
They're not.
Don't
They're
walk
standing
up
there.
it.
They're
It
standing.
actually looks like they're walking.
Nope, it's all right.
They're not walking.
The picture's
Then-
frozen. How do you see them up?
Because
One
one
foot
of
is
the
going up.
Bro, it's
yeah
the
one
same
foot's
question.
going up.
Dang, that's
If you
crazy.
just describe the picture, it did not get you full points. And so those of you trying to check your grade now, you're going to have to wait a moment. This is why I put that big thing on there ahead of time, trying to get you to check your grades. You ignored me with old man, you can't control me.
How old are
I
you?
don't know how to.
Then, also, the quizzy thing from last week on Friday, I will let you redo it if you want, if you failed it. You can get up to a C- if you want to redo it. After I go over the answers, I'm literally going to go through and give you all the answers for the quiz, and if you failed it, take the time to go in there, put in the correct answers, I will give you a C-. If you're happy with your F, stay with your F. But this was my way of trying to give those kids who completely bombed it a chance of fixing it if you want. You just have to go back in there, retake it, give all the correct answers, and then email me, and you can get up to a C-. If that's too much work, don't do it. Embrace your F. Those of you who got a good grade on it, go you! We'll go through and help you out. Alright, so there's thingy thing. Alright. 15 questions. I just want to run through it to try and beat the answers back into you, to try and help you out as we go through. Alright. First one. What literary term is the exciting part of the book?
Rising action.
So the other one is climax. How would you know it's not climax?
Because it's not letter.
So I even tried to help you out by putting it's a 2-word answer. The number 1 most often missed question on this one?
This one.
Kids who wrote the climax. Thinking that would, you were trying to work your way around it. You're like, well, it says it has to be 2 words, but there's only one. The. Oh, it's still wrong? Yes. That was my way of trying to help you. That if there's a 2-word answer and it's not climax, it'd be the other one. So that was my way of trying to help you.
Mr. Brovicast, we're finishing the book this week.
That's the idea.
Today?
What, today?
No, on Wednesday.
Next up, question 2. The best theme for the story. At this point, we've created the Shadow Club. Bad things are now happening from the Shadow Club that they created. So then,
Number 4.
our theme would be,
Number 4.
when you start something, be careful. It can get out of control because they started the Shadow Club and they weren't trying to do a horrible thing, but things eventually got out of control. So I was trying to work in analogies to make sure you guys can do like a thinky thing to help you out a little bit. And so you had to sort of make connections. First off, how are Jared and Austin connected to each other?
They hate each other.
They hate each other.
Enemies.
They're enemies. So this requires you next to know who Batman's enemy is. And so if you didn't know that, you could have Googled it, and I was fine with that.
The Joker?
But the correct answer being
Correct.
I did have people put down Superman, and I'm guessing that's because of the movie Batman v Superman. But the problem is, if you actually watch that movie, they only fight for a half hour, and then they become BFFs, and they create Justice League together, which is why they're next to each other in all the pictures. So they only got into a fight, they're not enemies. Joker and Batman,
Yeah, I
there's
can see
no
that.
hating of each other.
2 of them.
Yes.
Because I think
Oh, look like that too.
after Batman hated
There's like
Superman was his first until Joker came in.
Works for me. Then, Shadow Club, they're always hanging out and always at Stonehenge. Where's Mr. Broviak?
Classroom.
I was
classroom.
trying to have you guys
Well,
make that
imagine
connection. Where they're
someone
always
said
hanging
those
out.
O's.
5. Best completes the analogy.
Locked-in.
Mr. Diller's camera is stolen. His trumpet. So this was the, did you read the part of the book on your own?
No.
This would let me know those kids who picked Slimy, you stopped reading when I read with you. And then the second thing happens where the trumpet gets flattened by the bus, and that was the whole making the connection between the things that happened. This was my did you read it check versus the did you lose points
That's
for
not a nice question.
rolling my book check.
Oh.
Mia?
I read that, but I didn't know what part you were talking about, so I didn't find me.
Well, that's because it was the part where the camera. So I was trying to like that section. You could have asked me. I would have been like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to make the connection between that part of the book.
Oh.
What is it, Randall's disgusting thing he steps up to do?
Spit.
So I took
Spat.
spit, spat, spitting. If you put a thing that was one word that you think would work, email me. I can go back and give you points. I had a kid who put spitted. And I was like, well, I did not expect your incorrect grammar, but I would take spitted. But you have to email me to let me know. If you don't email me, I don't know. 7. Tyson McGaw's super embarrassing secret.
Bedwetter.
And I had kids put things like rubber sheets, which is fine, but I did not expect that one, so if you did that, you didn't get points. You can again go back and email me and go, hey, number 7, I put rubber sheets. Can you give me points? And the answer is absolutely. I'd be more than happy to. Number 8, Ralphie Sherman, who is not one of the main characters, but has popped up like 4 times in the book so far, keeps doing the same thing every time.
Lying.
Said that he went skydiving without a parachute, got abducted by aliens.
Anyway, so
Boy who cried wolf. That's almost impossible. Not her.
Then, what surprising thing do they discover is happening at their school?
Another kid is doing their tricks.
They decide to stop doing them and someone else starts doing them. The external conflict that's most important to what's happening in the story?
Shadow Club versus Tyson.
The other ones, I mean, Austin Pace does at least happen. Mr. Green does yell at, nope, never yells. So of them, only 2 of them actually happen. Only one of them is important.
Yeah.
11? I tried to help you out by putting Tyson in the question. Who tells Jared that he suspects the Shadow Club is a gang and he should let Tyson join? If I put Tyson in the question, Tyson can't be the answer.
who told Tyson?
So this was another one of those. How many kids read the end of it? Because on page 128, Mr. Green says, hey, now that I know that this gang exists, you need to let him join.
Mr. Green.
No, but
I don't know why I put someone.
12. Which of the pranks gets a poem?
slime and trumpet.
And that was one
See,
where
that was
I read the whole poemy thing to you. 13. The literary term where he keeps yelling, I'm not a bully, while he's in the process of hitting him.
Beating him up.
Beat you up.
Irony or ironic. I would take
I put someone's
irony.
name.
14. What is the conjunction in the sentence?
But.
The most common wrong answer was he's. Because I'm guessing that people thought it was a contraction. And a contraction is you put 2 words together. He's, she's, they are, stuff like that. But was our actual one that connected the 2 together.
I can put names.
And the last one, 15. What part of speech is us?
Pronoun.
Like he, she, it, they, we, us, them.
They, them.
It is a pronoun. So on here, taking a look at it, I went through and looked up how well all of my classes did together. There were questions that like 3 questions we did horrible on. Like we got like 50% of the kids got wrong. My question is, can you figure out which 3 questions were the ones that we did the worst on?
All of them? No, the one that
I got
had
this.
11.
They're 2-word questions.
Oh,
Or the 2 or 1-word questions.
the
11,
term for exciting stuff?
Yeah.
I can see that one.
11 and
Who
5.
tells Jared
11,
what Tyson
5.
join? I can see that.
11,
Conjunction?
5 and 1.
I didn't even get all of them.
I knew it. Mr. Brovak, you heard me say it. You heard me say it. I'm him.
Those were the ones that we missed, like half the kids got those wrong. Who lets Jared tells Jared to let Tyson join? Everyone wrote Tyson. The camera trumpet analogy, everyone didn't read the end and put slimy. And then the literary term, people put the climax.
I got all of them.
There was one question we almost had everybody get right. That was almost at 100%. Any idea which question almost every kid got right?
9.
3.
6.
17.
7.
86. 84.
Let's know.
Oh,
Stonehenge
let's know.
to my classroom, we only had 2 kids miss it.
Oh my God.
Who was that?
Who were they? Who were the 2 kids?
Hey,
Bob
let's
and
find
Bobby.
out.
What they
That's
do.
crazy.
Bobby Brown.
And then all the rest of them were like in the middle-ish. We had some we definitely struggled on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get it. No.
Back to Shadow Club. If you read ahead or have read ahead, do not spoil it because one of those characters is going to die coming up.
Spoil it now.
Well, when we started the book, I told you that.
Yeah.
So
What if
I didn't know that it'd be one of the main characters. I thought it'd be one of the.
One of them? What is it?
So that's when you get to it, don't ruin it for other kids.
Random guess.
I mean, right now.
Mr.
I was having a conversation. Hi, Samson, what's up?
Can you tell me who died?
Yes, when we get to it coming up. Hi.
Is someone gonna die today?
Well, it depends. We keep wasting more and more time with me having to yell at kids, so the answer is probably not.
Don't ask.
Hi, Robin.
But
Now what?
I forgot.
Good stuff. So then we covered that part and getting into it. So they went back to Stonehenge. This is where they circled up and said we have to stop doing all the pranks because now that Tyson knows bad things are going to happen. I tried to find a better picture of a lighthouse so we can find out what's going to happen there.
I don't like how
Let's
it's
see.
Shadow Club.
Jared discovers about Tyson. We did that one. And
Yeah, I read.
why does he want the club to stop making do the pranks?
Because Mr. Green is watching her.
And he's afraid that they're going to get caught because someone's watching them. Oh, what is going on between Jared and Cheryl?
They want to make out. Make out.
And apparently the part that I'm guessing Drinky did not read is when they kiss and you have that big
What is their
romantic moment. Yeah, I was guessing. And it says when they were sitting on the edge of the little beach area and they're looking out at the ocean and they have like a little romantic moment.
That's cute.
Yeah. Even cuter if you actually read it.
Have a first.
And then they started getting to the really bad pranks. Eric Kilfoyle was the kid that was colorblind and had the paint in the armpits. What really bad thing happens to his locker?
They poured black paint all over it.
Over everything in his locker, someone does it and frames the Shadow Club.
Does it stay there forever?
And then Mr. Diller's camera
Was stolen.
gets stolen, and then what happens to it?
Smashed it.
No.
No, they put it in the smart
They
kid's
put it in the smart kid's locker, so the smartest kid in the school gets suspended when they find it in his locker. David Berger's trumpet
Flatten.
got flattened behind the bus.
flat.
For those of you in band, you should know that those are not cheap. They're definitely expensive.
How much? $100?
Who is in there now suspecting?
No, Tyson.
Mr. Green.
Because only 2 people know about it, Tyson and Mr. Green, and it's probably not Mr. Green, so that leaves a good chance it's
I
Tyson.
know why.
And that brings us, Mr. Green is the other one who knows. Hi, Nikai.
I know why because Mr. Green. No, I think Tyson's always.
I please have your shoes up there.
And that's why they only both know. And I think they're going to spend the people that was in the shower.
Robin,
Where are we gonna go after we finish Shadow Club?
go to our next unit. So our checkpoint coming up is end of book this weekend. My last day reading with you is Wednesday. And then we'll have test over it next Monday. And so you're going to have to, we'll get as far as we can today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and then eventually it comes down to you having to read. All right, we will start on page 131. Raising a hand, James?
Yes.
What's up?
Can I have those Crocs?
What Ralphie said. When things get bad, boy, do they get bad. I thought that maybe if the Shadow Club laid low for a while and didn't play any tricks, then Green might leave us alone. Maybe everything would be all right. But things weren't all right. I had hoped that David Berger's flattened trumpet would be the last of the mysterious pranks, but it was not. Someone was terrorizing the Unbeatables. Someone who didn't care how much the Unbeatables got hurt or how much property was destroyed. And this person, whoever it was, thought that they could get away with it by blaming the Shadow Club. There was only one person who knew enough about the Shadow Club to do that. Tyson McGaw. I say we give him what he deserves, said Randall, as we sat around Stonehenge at our next meeting. Yeah, We should beat the daylights out of him and force him to confess. And then get him expelled from school for it, added Jason. Everyone else agreed. No, we have no proof. We can't do anything like that yet. What other proof do we need? He's the only other one who knows about the club. It has to be him. We can't do anything yet, though. Not until we can prove he's doing the pranks. He's innocent until proven guilty, added Cheryl. Even though we know he's guilty? So, what do? Asked O.P. Sit around and wait to be blamed for everything? What if something really bad happens? No, don't worry. I mean, okay, Tyson's crazy, but he's not that crazy. Nothing really bad is going to happen. Boy, was I wrong. That next week, the entire club vowed to look out for the unbeatables, watching them as well as watching Tyson, to make sure that no more pranks were pulled. We must have done a lousy job of it, though, because on Thursday, during lunch, Drew Landers became the next victim. Now, Drew, as I've told you, is a swimmer, and very much into it. In fact, he had this obsession with anything that had to do with swimming. It only made sense then that Drew had a thing for fish. For as long as I knew Drew, he'd always had a fish tank, and it was the one thing in his room that he kept clean. And he had a second tank in school, in Mr. Milburn's room. I guess because he considered himself a human fish, he had a weird sort of affection for his cousins in the tank. Anyway, that 60-gallon tank had sat in Mr. Milburn's classroom since Drew started 7th grade. And now, a year later, it was still there, filled with starfish, sea anemones, and brightly colored saltwater fish. They were pretty, they were expensive, and Drew loved those fish like most normal people might love a pet dog. Every once in a while, some bozo would drop something stupid into the tank, a bar of soap or the shavings from the classroom pencil sharpener. Once, someone put red food coloring in the tank. After Mr. Milburn changed the water, the fish seemed fine, although they were sort of pink for a while. No matter what dumb things kids did to that tank, those fish always seemed to come out of their ordeals all right. But not this time. During lunch, Mr. Milburn always locked his room and went down to the teacher's lounge to fall asleep while listening to the rest of the teacher's gossip. Well, as everyone knows, school classroom locks are the easiest in the world to pick. All you have to do is slide a hanger into the door jamb and bingo. Well, that's what someone did. And then that same someone dropped a firecracker into Drew's fish tank. Now, there are firecrackers and there are firecrackers. They're the kind they call safe and sane, and there are the kind that are more like hand grenades. There are cherry bombs and M80s that, when put in a strategic location, can do an awful lot of damage. But the worst by far are blockbusters. Packed into the cylinder of a blockbuster is a quarter stick of dynamite, and when one goes off, it can be heard for miles. I don't know how they did it, but someone rigged up a blockbuster to go off in that fish tank, and when it blew, nothing in the room was safe. The tank turned into one huge bomb, sending glass and water flying in all directions, shredding plants, tearing paper on the walls. The room became a war zone. I was out on the field with Cheryl and Randall, consoling Randall from his recent humiliation. Hang on, pause real quick. So I have the type of one they're talking about. Looks something like that. Yeah.
Do you think their school has cameras?
No, at this time they did not. And so you have, and then they drop it, and then boom, and
You have such a green. I guess
It's you.
It's the radiation, bro.
It seemed that the day before, after swim practice, Drew threw Randall out of the locker room with no clothes on. Almost the second I had convinced Randall it was better to forget about it for a while, we heard the explosion. Boom! It was so loud, you'd swear the whole school had blown up. The blast echoed from the high school across the large field, and a strange silence followed. Everyone turned toward the school. "Not again," said Cheryl. At first, we all thought this was yet another school fire, but in a moment, I began to suspect it was another evil prank. I turned to look for Tyson, but couldn't find him, and that sick feeling returned to my stomach, along with the cold feeling to my hands. Meanwhile, several teachers ran into the school to evacuate the remaining students. For all they knew, a gas line could have blown up. Someone pulled the fire alarm, and in minutes, the fire trucks arrived. It didn't take long for the firemen to find out what had happened. From what I heard, there was nothing left of the fish tank, and that collection of fish that Drew Landers had spent years putting together was gone in a fiery fraction of a second. "Tell me the truth, Randall," said a kid after school. Cheryl and I were talking before I went off to track practice, and as usual, Randall was hanging around with us, making obnoxious comments about the fact that we spent so much time together. When this kid, someone on the swim team I guess, came up to us and asked Randall a question. "Tell me the truth. Did you blow up Drew's fish tank? Tell me the truth. Come on, I won't tell anyone." Randall was speechless. He turned to Cheryl. See? What did I tell you? Just because of what he did to me yesterday, everyone's going to think that I blew up his tank. I'm being framed." He turned to the kid. "No, I didn't do it, so get out of here, all right?" "Yeah, I'll bet you didn't do it." The kid ran off. "You better keep your mouth shut because I didn't," yelled Randall as the kid ran away. He turned to me and Cheryl. "You know I didn't, right? I was there with you all during lunch. You know I was." "I know it, and you know it, but who's going to believe us?" "I see a pattern emerging," said Cheryl. "Have you noticed that these pranks have been pulled soon after the victim has done something really mean to a member of the Shadow Club?" "Huh? Think about it, blimp brain," said Cheryl to her brother. "Eric Kilfoyle's locker was filled with paint the day after Darren nearly got into a fight with him. Darren told me about that. David Berger's trumpet got run over the day after David was chosen to play for the high school band again, and he'd made Jason feel miserable about it. Tommy Nichols had just beat out OP for a place in his district science fair before the camera incident. And now Drew's fish tank explodes the day after he threw you out of the locker room naked. Someone is definitely trying to frame us." "Exactly. And if anyone finds out about the club, we're going to be the prime suspects. We're the only ones with motives." We're already suspects? Because someone already knows about the club?" Cheryl and Randall turned to me with that end-of-the-world look in their eyes. "Mr. Green knows. I don't think he knows what we've done, but he knows about the club, and I'm sure he suspects us. Until then, I hadn't told anyone." "How?" "Tyson told him. I'm sure of it." "Tyson!" said Randall with a hiss in his voice that made him sound like a snake. "I told you he was behind all of this." And there we'll stop.
No one died.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe it was Tyson.
I bet it
Yeah, just maybe.
Oh, yeah.